Hello, everybody. That's right. Everybody's going, Ed, he's been on all day today. No, I actually haven't. Just a couple times. But anyway, how you doing, Francisco?
I'm doing good. Doing good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming in the studio. You wanted to talk about. I don't want to get right into it because I know we bullshit a lot. But everything okay? Do any open houses this weekend?
No, showings. Staying busy. Yeah.
Good buyers. All right.
Yeah.
Um, the question I get all the time, and you probably as an agent get it more than I do, which is, should I do inspections?
Yeah. The answer is always 100% yes. You definitely want to, know if there are any like outstanding issues with the house. On top of it, too, it's like I tell everybody, I mean, at the end of the day, even if you can't use it, which another big reason to use them is also for negotiations.
Right, to get some potential closing costs, you mean?
Right. Either closing costs or just getting the house up to standard. But on top of it too, it's also like a to-do list. A lot of the times, it's little minor things, which even when you do inspections, not all the times is everything caught, right? Or sometimes, you have people where they run inspections and they're living in the house like a few weeks, a month, or whatever it may be. Something else comes up and then they get upset about, the inspections. However, that in itself, I mean, I learned it the hard way too when I purchased a house, and there's always going to be things to do. Like things are always happening.
And the inspector can't catch everything. I mean, it's like going to the doctor to do all these tests, and then they come back, hey, I have cancer. You didn't find that. Well, I didn't know. We didn't look there because we didn't have any things to show us. The thing with inspections is we're looking at stuff, or they're looking at stuff everywhere. The main major stuff. It was funny because my son just closed on his house. He had inspections, and he's there, and he's pulling paper towels out from underneath a carpet. He's like on the stairs. It's like, why are these here? It's like, who the hell knows why it's there? Maybe there was a nail and someone stubbed their toe and they put paper towels there so they wouldn't hit anymore. Who knows what people do in their own homes? But that's not something you'd find in an inspection, right? Because you're not pulling up the carpet.
Yeah, I even had one the other day where like there's just a random patch in a bedroom, and like with that patch, it just it just looked off, and then what could the inspector say? I mean, the inspector doesn't know what caused the patch or why there even was a patch, so they just suggest to reach out to the seller and see if the seller knows of it. Reach out to the seller, and the seller doesn't know anything. So I go back to the inspector, let him know, the seller didn't know, and he's like, well, if anything, that's better because he didn't see it was wet, and if the seller didn't do it, then it hasn't been anything recent. Because in that situation, it was like a flip, so it wasn't anything recent. So he's like, well, at least there's no current water damage, water intrusion, nothing like that. So yeah, I mean, that's why it's important. But again, I mean, it's even just raising the question, right? Or understanding and making sure that everything functions properly.
Right, because you want to make sure that you find stuff now instead of, because somebody else I know, they're like they're having their dad come through who's a contractor and he can fix anything. And so like, we're not going to have inspections, and this is the buyer side and someone else has the seller side, and it's like, that's on you then. Right. That's you. I still recommend you have inspections because like you said, you can come across, see these little things, but they're going to pick everything out. I mean, every issue there is potentially, and it's going to be up to you whether or not you want to get it fixed. And it could be things as easy as, there's so many things.
GFCIs, yeah.
Well, the GFCI, I mean, anything electrical, I would tell to get resolved. Yeah. But little stuff, that might just come up like, I mean, because like VA, if the toilet's loose, it has to be fixed.
Right. Very minor.
Because they don't want any veteran falling off the toilet.
That'd be horrible.
No, health and safety.
Yeah. Well, even then too, like, I also tell my clients, don't get spooked. I mean, especially like the home inspections. Home inspections are like long, and there's a lot of stuff going on with the home inspections. However, I tell everybody, don't be so alarmed by it. Because at the end of the day, I mean, they're also doing the best that they can to disclose absolutely everything. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, it's in red writing. And I'm like, that's just kind of their color coordination. They're not exactly saying it's something horrible. But again, like I said, I mean, more than anything, a lot of the times the things that come up on those reports, like you're not going to fix every single thing. Because again, and the best thing, like why I like, I use specific inspectors and everything too. And I like the fact that they also like are willing to like go through the report with people, and any questions or anything, they're always available to like answer right away.
Right.
So that's great too. It's also hard to find, like, I guess, credible inspectors,
It
but
was in the past. I think it's better now. Yeah.
right. Yeah. I mean, with review systems and things like that too. Um, and again, I mean, a lot of the times it's just like I've seen some inspectors go in and take 10, 15 minutes inspecting a house. And then you have others that
That's
take,
it.
right. That's what I'm
It better
saying.
be a few hours for
Exactly.
what? Yeah. I mean, I don't make $350 an hour.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it has to at least be like 45 minutes to an hour to like properly inspect everything. And the good thing is,
Unless
too,
it's a 900 square foot house or 800, then,
right. I mean, and that's quick. Or like sometimes, like if it is like a flip, obviously there's not much that you're having to check out. But yeah, I mean, it's just realistically, I mean, 100%, you should get them. And I even understand people who like have contractors or things like that in the family. I get it that you already have the means of like doing it, but if you're not even going to use it for the sake of like trying to, you know, see what's wrong with the house, at least use it as a negotiations piece. I mean, a lot of the times I tell everyone, you should.
right, because you can always have your dad or whoever else is going to help fix it, or you fix it later. I remember when we bought our cabin, we had a huge pest report. I mean, it was like $6,000. But I know, as you know, that a lot of times pest reports are lost leaders, and the pest company makes their money off of the repairs. I'm not saying all of them do, but because I don't want any bad emails to me or mail. But you can do it sometimes a lot cheaper with somebody else or yourself. And so it's just, okay, what needs to be done? But at least these issues are there so you can deal with them.
Right. It's also not to shy anyone away from like using those companies for it. It's just more so about like, yeah, it's a licensed contractor. And especially if you have the means of doing it yourself, or you have friends or family that can help out with it, 100%. But yeah, if you don't have it and, you obviously want peace of mind, yeah, those companies are a good go-to, and they'll work with you too, if you talk with them and you kind of try to figure out the situation. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, they are also very busy with, their inspections already as is. um
But the one thing I want to bring up, just because you get in contract now and you release the inspection contingency, right? If you do that, doesn't mean you can't get inspections.
right.
It just means you can't use them against a reason to get out of the contract.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back with the, during like the COVID times, right, when everything was all crazy. Excuse me. At that time, a lot of people, I was having people, and I hated doing it, but there were times where you absolutely had no choice but to release the contingencies. And not only does it mean that you can't back out, I mean, not only does it mean that like, you know, you're stripping yourself of like backing out, it's also kind of like, it doesn't mean that you can't negotiate still with them.
Right.
A lot of people think like, oh, if we're saying that, we're saying it's as is. um, I remember I even had to get creative and I would write as is in the contract. However, I would tell my clients like it's pretty funny because there is already something that says, you know, that the purchase is as is, like it's already verbiage within the contract, that any purchase is an as is purchase.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to take it completely as is. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, and it wasn't like in a way of like trying to do trickery. It was just more so like, hey, if something major comes up, obviously we're going to ask for it, and anybody else would. But granted, if it were minor things, it is what it is and you move on from it. But like you said, I mean, $5,000 or $6,000, repair could be a lot for someone. I always, I'm seeing an average collectively of like pest, home, and roof, about like 2,000, 3,000 in repairs. But if it's anything past that, then yeah, I would definitely say 100% ask. Even when they come in lower, I mean, doesn't hurt to ask.
Right. And just so people know, as is in real estate just means the seller is stating that everything, they don't guarantee that everything is in working condition.
Right.
That's all they're saying.
Yeah, it doesn't
There
mean
is
that.
no true as is, like you got to take it or leave it. That's not how it works. But in California, there is no true as is transaction. They can still come back and ask you for stuff, right? That can be done. But it's just saying that the seller really doesn't know if everything is perfect, right?
Right. It's like your assumption of it, taking it in and understanding that you're getting the house, in the condition that it's in.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you have to like stick to that throughout the process. I mean, obviously after disclosures and finding out more about the house, that's what the whole inspection period is for. And again, like we said, releasing the contingency doesn't mean you give up that inspection period. Like,
No, you still want
have
to
the
know.
right to. Yeah.
You still want to know that your baby's ugly. I'm just saying, the thing is, they're going to look at everything and say how bad it is, and it's for you to look through and say, okay, is that really that bad? Their job is to look at everything. And so that, so when you look at an inspection report, you can go, oh my goodness, or you can say, okay, I understand. They're supposed to find everything wrong with it, even if it's only a little bit wrong and not that big of a deal. But that's just what they do, and that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Even the inspections, right? Like when everything happens, I mean, you will even have houses that are completely remodeled or even brand new homes. You should still do an inspection.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised. It might look, it's like we say, right? Like slapping makeup on a pig. A lot of the times we do unfortunately run into that. It is hard, like, with those newer looking homes because they just look so good, but you still should look and see, what's up with the bones of the house, right? Like
Right.
how everything's going.
Well, even new homes should have an inspection. Brand new homes. Example, my wife bought a brand new home and the toilet upstairs leaked down into the downstairs bathroom because of no wax ring in the toilet seat. You know what I mean? Underneath. How are you going to know that? Right. I mean, that's just saying people, you never know, because people are doing their job. It doesn't mean that today they're doing amazing. They could have had a hangover from last night and they're putting stuff together and they're not doing 100%. Should always get inspections, especially buying a car.
Yeah.
Have every car looked at before you buy it, please.
Right.
Unless it's coming off a lot and they have a warranty and you know them. But, yeah. All right. Thank you for coming in. I'm glad we wanted to talk about the inspections. And yes, you should get inspections and don't waive it. I mean, you can waive it, but still get them so you know what your house looks like and what's going on with it.
Definitely.
Right?
Yep.
All right. Francisco, thank you for coming in the studio today, and thank you for watching and listening. And if you like what we do here, the easiest way to help us is just subscribe to our YouTube channels. All right. Make it a great day.
Take care.